Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you are watching this, know that I appreciate you. Today is, sorry about that. I don't have, unfortunately, let me actually stop while I'm fiddling with this. I do apologize. I don't have a secure way anymore to keep my phone in place because I am now in a different vehicle. And glory to God, the husband and I have a new vehicle. No longer do we have the van that gave us so many issues. It gave us so many problems because it had so many issues. I am in a new vehicle and I don't have my hands-free devices any longer. As a matter of fact, I just tossed them because, one, the husband doesn't want me to stick anything on the console. So I've got to find something that will hold it without sticking to the console, which means I have to find this suction cup thing. And the two that I had, one stuck to the console and the other stuck to the window, but it never stayed securely. So I've got to find something heavy duty. But anyway, today is, I think I said already, May 29th, 2019. And it's been a while since I've done one of these videos. There's been a lot going on. A lot going on. One of the things was this past weekend, my boss passed away unexpectedly. So we are dealing with that in the office. We're dealing with it individually, but we're also dealing with it as a whole in the office because he was a good guy. He was a good guy. And most of the people that I work with have known him for more than 10 years. Most of them. Some of them have been around for 20 years. Some of them 40. Like one of the partners, they actually went to college together, so they've known each other since college. So we're dealing with that. But God is so good because He's allowing us to do that on our own, effectively, but also collectively, effectively. And it brought about one of my coworkers, and I've spoken about this particular coworker before, and she's having a difficult time dealing with it because, according to what I was told, she's never experienced death so close to her. Her parents are still alive in their 70s, almost 80s. I think her mom is in her 70s and her dad is in his 80s. And she's relatively young. So she's never really. She did mention today that her grandfather had passed away and she remembered that. But other than that, she's never really experienced a death close to her. And our boss was one of those that you almost instantly took a liking to. And so this has been hard for her, just as it's been hard for everyone else. But it's really difficult to deal with when you've experienced death, and you know what the process is. And then you encounter someone who has no clue to the process, and you've got to explain everything to them, and that makes it difficult for you to deal with what you're feeling and with what you're going through. So yeah, that's been a rough one. Just to have to explain everything to someone. And it's not just me explaining it to her. There are others There we go, twisting and turning again. There are others. We're just going to have to deal with this, guys. I'm so terribly sorry. I will have something soon, I hope, that will allow me to secure this. But, so we're all dealing with grieving on our own, but we're all having to also deal with explaining to her the process of what we do here, especially as Christians, when death happens. So we're all coping, we're all dealing. But one of the things that I realized today, and I am guilty of doing it myself, so it's not like I am being shady or judgmental. I'm guilty of doing it myself, but I realized today that the only question that really makes sense to a grieving person is the question of, what can I do to help? That's the only question that really makes sense to a grieving person. And this is why I say that. Because when you ask a grieving person how they're feeling or how they're doing, the answer is obvious. They feel like crap and they're not doing well because they just suffered a massive loss. So asking them how they're feeling or how they're doing, although you mean well, it's one of those, questions it's almost, I don't want to classify it as a stupid question, but it's almost like a rhetorical question, like a rhetorical question. There's no point to you really asking it, because you're not asking it to get an actual answer. You're just asking it. When you've lost a loved one, you really don't want to answer a whole lot of questions in most cases. And you really don't want to talk about your feelings in most cases when you've just lost a loved one. So, because there are so many things that go along with the loss and go along with the preparation of the services and what happens after the services, all of the stuff that if you've ever lost a loved one and had to plan their services, and I've had to do it now 2 times. I've had 3 major losses, but I've only, 3 times, quite honestly. Now that I really think about it, 3 times. I had to do it for my grandfather, I had to do it for my mom, and I had to do it for my maternal grandmother. Although her process was a little bit different, and still had to say a few things about her process. Although I did have help. I did have a tremendous amount of help with her process. And that's because that person didn't ask initially what she could do to help. She offered up suggestions and then said, if you need me to take care of it, I will. And that's what we did. But I still had to make some final choices. So I've had to do this 3 times now. And the question that was always the most beneficial to me was, what can I do to help? So when you're dealing with someone who has lost a loved one, whether it was a parent, a child, a spouse, another family member, or a close friend, coworker even, ask them what it is that you can do to help them. I know that the first question that comes to mind is, how are you doing? Or it's, how are you feeling? But ask them what you can do to help. And like I said, I'm not being judgmental. I'm not being shady. I am actually guilty of this myself. And it just kind of hit me like, whoa, you already know how this person is doing. You already know how this person is feeling. So there's no point to you asking that question. And it was my own reprimand, you know, Spirit hit me. It was my own reprimand. So that's my piece of, that's my word of wisdom for today. And it just happens to be Wednesday as well. But that's my suggestion. Don't ask how the person is doing. Don't ask how they're feeling. Ask them what you can do to help. And if they want to talk about their feelings, then be that listening ear for them. So with that, with that, peace and blessings. Remember to walk in your purpose and know that I appreciate you. And I really hate that I've got to put my hands on this phone again while I'm in motion. I hate doing that. I've quickly got to find a solution to this, because I enjoy being hands-free. So I'm coming to a stop. Peace and blessings. Remember to walk in your purpose. Know that I appreciate you.